A driver has been charged for a deadly multi-car accident on Interstate 35 in Austin, Texas.
First responders counted 17 vehicles, including a tractor-trailer rig, involved in the collision. As for victims,
I see at least 7, 4 or 5 of them are critical, if not DOA.
The audio from Broadcastify. In fact, 5 were dead on the scene, including a child and an infant. 4 other people are hospitalized with life-threatening injuries.
ABC's Jim Ryan. A necropsy on the dog that died, along with Gene Hackman and his wife, found dehydration and starvation were likely the cause of his death. A report also notes partial mummification, but no evidence of infectious disease, trauma, or poisoning. The dog was found dead in a crate near the body of Hackman's wife. The 2 largest military branches report an uptick in recruiting numbers.
The Army and the Navy say they're on pace to exceed their annual recruiting targets. The Army's Vice Chief of Staff told a congressional hearing the Army's already signed up close to 73% of its yearly goal of 61,000 recruits. The Navy says new contracted sailors increased by 4,000 compared to last year in the first quarter. Army and Navy leaders have not identified one specific cause, but both branches have introduced prep courses that could be boosting recruiting numbers. Brian Clark, ABC News.
Apple TV says Ted Lasso will be back for a 4th season, but the streamer didn't say when the new episodes will be available. Dave Packer, ABC News.
Give the star in your life the brightest gift in the world. Name a star after them. This is Rocky Moselle with International Star Registry. For $59 and a call to 800-282-3333 or visit starregistry.com, you can name a star for birthdays, weddings, or even memorials. Over 45 years, we have named millions of stars for celebrities and individuals from around the world. The star you name will be recorded in book form in the U.S. Copyright Office. Visit starregistry.com or call 800-282-3333.
News Talk 610 AM and 102.1 FM. KVNU.
5:05 now on this Friday afternoon. I'm Will Feelright with your KVNU News update. A 32-year-old Pennsylvania man accused of trying to coerce 2 Cache Valley girls to send nude pictures of themselves to him has been determined to be incompetent to stand trial. Daniel Roy Cromer Jr. was released Wednesday from the Cache County Jail and transported to Salt Lake City International Airport so that he could be flown back home. Cromer appeared earlier this week in Logan's 1st District Court. Now, Judge Spencer Walls said that Cromer had been evaluated by doctors at the state hospital several times who had determined that he was incompetent to stand trial and regressing cognitively. Now, they also reported that restoring competency was improbable. Now, according to an arrest affidavit, North Park police officers began investigating Cromer back in July of 2023 after the mother of one of the alleged victims located disturbing messages on her daughter's phone. Now, the chats were between the suspect and her daughter and another girl on a social media app called I Envy You. Now, the girls were later interviewed by forensic investigators at the Children's Justice Center. They determined that Cromer had sent pictures and videos of himself to the girls. Now, police were able to analyze those photos. In one picture, it showed Cromer wearing a firefighter uniform that police were able to determine belonged to the Fountain Hill Fire Department. Now, police in Pennsylvania later executed a search warrant on Cromer's residence and detained him. Several electronic devices were located that appeared to contain child pornography, while officers said they also found several message threads where it appeared the Pennsylvania man was requesting naked pictures from other juveniles. Now, during this week's court hearing, Judge Walser expressed concern about the allegations of Cromer being a firefighter. Now, he explained, though, that he had spoken to attorneys who clarified that the suspect had helped around a fire station but was not mentally or physically capable of being an emergency responder. And Utah Governor Spencer Cox said that better civics education can help reduce polarization in an interview yesterday with former U.S. Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice at Stanford University. Now, the discussion closed out the Hoover Institutions Forum that was focused on civics education that was held at the California University. And Utah's governor told the former secretary to President George W. Bush that as state leaders seek to get politics out of the classrooms, what they should be doing is actually focusing more on civics instruction. Now, the governor told Rice that he would like to see more debate in classrooms at all levels, particularly debate that forces students to argue and understand ideas that they may not necessarily believe in. Well, turning to college basketball, the Aggies have made it to the semifinals of the Mountain West Tournament for that late game tonight, just under 5 hours away, as the Aggies will be facing off against Colorado State. Now, this comes after the Aggies beat UNLV last night, 70-58, and as assistant coach Eric Hout said, he was pretty proud of the way his team persevered.
Got to give our guys a ton of credit. You know, it was a really physical game. We told them that, beforehand, that we're going to have to win the physicality and we're going to have to win on the glass. And we out-rebounded them 41-37, gave up too many offensive rebounds, but in the second half did a great job around the basket, contesting twos at the rim without fouling, and then grabbing those loose ball rebounds. So just really proud of our guys' effort and our resolve in that second half.
Now the Aggies are just one game away from the Mountain West Tournament Championship. First, though, they've got to beat the Rams tonight. That game will tip off at 10 o'clock. Our pregame show beginning at 9 here on KVNU. Well, as we head into the overnight hours, temperatures expected to drop into the mid-20s, and then we'll be back into the low 40s for tomorrow. A chance of some rain and snow possible, and that's going to just continue through the weekend, as temperatures Sunday going to be around the mid-40s and then mid to low 50s for the first of next week. And news and weather this hour brought to you by Dr. Keith Nilsson, offering relief from a sports medicine injury or arthritis. And if you're suffering from knee pain, check out the Omnibotic knee replacement system that boasts a 97% patient satisfaction rate. It's offered right here in Cache Valley from Dr. Keith Nilsson. And I'm Will Feelwright with your KVNU News Update.
Ah, spring. That time of year when you turn up the heat in the morning and the air conditioner in the afternoon. If you're constantly adjusting your thermostat just to stay comfortable, it might be time to talk insulation. You see, today's insulation is superior to what they used to put in homes. Not only does it help regulate the temperature inside, but it can also slash your energy bills. Maybe you just need to insulate your attic, garage, or a specific room. No problem. Call Cardall's Insulation, 755-5012. That's 755-5012.
Local news and the best talk. News Talk KVNU.
Here's what some of our patients have to say about how Red River has changed their lives.
So before I started at Red River, I was having a lot of stomach pain. I was overweight, severe anxiety. I had been to multiple doctors. We had done tests, and no one could find anything that was wrong. And then a friend mentioned Red River, and I went and saw him, and it has changed my whole life. I'm sleeping through the night. I have energy for my kids. I've lost 30 pounds. No more stomach pains. I just feel really good.
Our goal is to focus on imbalances that are driving your condition or symptoms, not just give you Band-Aid answers. So when a patient comes to our office, we'll sit down with them extensively and go over their blood work to find out the underlying imbalances driving their symptoms.
Call Red River Health and Wellness at 855-55-RIVER. With offices in Logan, South Jordan, Springville, and St. George.
Call Red River today.
KVNU's For the People. Hour 2 of today's show, the For the People movie show, March 14th, Pi Day. Circumference of a circle multiplied by 3.1 for infinity. Sorry, I forgot to turn your microphone on.
That's okay. I wouldn't turn it on either.
I'm always afraid when I forget to do that,
then I'm going to swear.
Witty joke.
I'll swear.
Well, I worry about that every hour, every Friday.
Yeah, you were going to say every
when someone calls in
day.
And says, "Listen, movie boy."
Hey,
oh no!
Happy Ides of March Eve is what I really wanted.
Oh yeah, that is tomorrow, huh?
Yeah, we should take some time today and remember, like, what do you think Julius Caesar was thinking today? You know,
speaking of Ides of March, I liked that movie. No one else did.
I liked it.
Did you? Okay, I feel better.
I know a guy named Ted liked it too. Ted Cruz. Just kidding.
He did not. He did.
You're talking about Ryan Gosling and George Clooney.
And they made the movie long before Ted got in some business that made it seem like the movie was about him. They didn't know that when they made the movie, Ted, that you were going to go out and
I enjoy
do something dumb.
I'll be honest with you. I enjoy a good courtroom thriller. I enjoy a good political thriller.
Yeah.
I love America does too. That's why there's, Law and Order SUV has been on for 57 years.
Oh, no, I was what was the actor that was really good, but in hindsight maybe not that good? He was just in good roles that we now got deservedly canceled. Kevin Spacey. What was the political series?
Oh, House of Cards.
House of Cards. I loved the first season of House of Cards.
They had one of the Mara sisters.
Yeah, I absolutely love that.
Kate.
Second season, it started to kind of jump the shark a little bit, and you start going down that road of like when Fast and Furious went in space. That's when you start going a little too far, you lose me. But that first season was, I think, very believable.
To be fair, where else were they going to go?
Well, I get it. They have to go. Do you know what one of the worst is? It's so good, too. It's disappointing. I still defend the series, but one time, if you're looking for a good series, it's really good. But the Friday Night Lights, the TV show.
Yeah.
It's on Netflix, I think, right now, and it's on Amazon, and it's really good. And then about I think it did 6 or 7 seasons, maybe only 6. About season 4, like suddenly you have these high school kids working with the FBI, and it gets just, it's like, come on.
Yeah.
And then they pull their crap back together, and they're like, okay, that was dumb. Sorry about that. Here's season 5. It's back to the original.
Yeah.
But it's still worth watching for that. But that's one of the worst as far as the shark jumping goes.
I would go with that. It's funny that you bring that up too, because, I've been thinking a lot about this. By the way, just so people, kind of know our tentative agenda,
the plans.
There are a couple new movies that came out this week. There's a new Steven Soderbergh thriller. There's Soderbergh. Probably not Soderbergh. That sounds like something you get arrested for.
Soderbergh sounds cooler. We should talk to him about that.
Anyhow, and the movie's called Black Bag. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. It's written by renowned writer David Koepp, who's written a lot of Hollywood blockbusters. We'll talk about that. I reviewed that. There's another movie that comes out today with Jack Quaid called Novocaine, which is kind of feels like nerdy Deadpool. I can't feel anything, but I also, can't fight.
Yeah.
I
don't really get where, I don't know. The trailer kind of made me chuckle. I'll probably see it, but.
Well, and so with that said, what I've been thinking about, the other big news this week was the Larry H. Miller Megaplex Theaters, which is the 25th biggest theater chain in the United States. They announced a rebrand. They've been around for probably early 2000s. 25 years. I don't know. Since 2000. I don't know why I'm saying. How long do you think they've been around for? It's the 25th anniversary. Anyhow.
After 1999.
Yeah, after 1999. And they're doing a rebrand, which, let's be fair, is probably, typically, most websites get refreshed every year. So 25 years is a long time to stick with, one type of color and logo and things like that. So I'll be honest with you, it's really
been a while.
It's just very modern. I would say it's not anything where you're like, wait, where am I?
Yeah.
They've just really kind of beefed up the font. They really have kind of settled on that dark. They've taken out the yellow and a few other colors.
I like it all, other than they didn't really make it more functional.
No, it's not. I mean, and again, depending.
Why is it so difficult to watch a trailer?
Oh, I'm not sure. What do you mean? I missed your joke.
Go try and find one.
Oh, I got you. They haven't changed their website yet. I don't think they haven't done anything with that. In fact, the website still has some of the old branding on it, so I don't know when that's happening. Different parts of it do. I'll be honest with you, as someone you and I talk about this all the time, as someone that does website design and graphic design, what's really bothering me right now is that they have not changed their little Favicon in the browser. It's still the old.
Really?
Yeah. It's okay, though. We'll give them a pass.
It's kind of irritating, though.
Anyhow.
For nerds.
Yeah, the press release, they showed, I don't know if this was the Providence location. It really looked like it, although it could have been any megaplex, really. They're going to redo the outside. Well, let me back up. To give some broader brushstrokes of what they're doing. They're really trying to emphasize it as kind of like what they call a premier entertainment destination. So it's not just movies.
They want you to come there at 6 o'clock on a Saturday night and stay till 10.
They want you to play in the arcade. They want you to, they're going to have things. And honestly, I know there's people I saw in the Facebook comments and the Twitter comments on these news stories. People are like, it just, I don't know. Again, the 1% of whiners seems to, find their way there.
Yeah.
But they're adding like enhanced dining, they're, bowling games. That's a thing. If you go anywhere else in the United States, that's a thing. You know what I mean?
Well, and I think this is why. So you and I were talking about this just before the show. There have been, I don't know how many attempts here in Utah, even, but around the world, even more attempts to do the dining in a movie thing. Because I mean and I get why they think about that, because everybody. So you're going to go to a movie, you go grab something to eat first, right? And so the big chains are like, okay, why don't you just come here and eat? Well, no one wants to do that. Nobody wants mid-level. Or if you want some rewarmed pizza before your movie?
No, if they can figure out a niche. Well,
the food wasn't enough. The bowling and the arcade and everything else might be enough.
If you made it as kind of like a family outing, like a whole night or a whole, I can see that. The dining is an interesting thing because, I think that's something that you and I were talking about Disney a minute ago. With like their ticket prices. That's something that Disney has really done where, you used to go to Disneyland and California Adventure for the rides, and you still do. But the dining is actually an attraction now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you're like, oh man, have you been to this restaurant in California Adventure where they have, birria grilled cheese? Or
so much so that there's a locals only ticket you can get, which is still insanely expensive, but you can get a locals only ticket that is basically just go to dinner at Disneyland in Anaheim, California, kind of date night thing.
Yeah, next month.
In fact, I think they call it date night.
Next month is the California Food and Wine Festival in Disneyland.
Oh, that's right. That happens right around Main Street.
Yeah,
right?
and it goes for a month. It's in California Adventure.
Oh, that's
and
right.
And they set up little booths with. And I went to Disneyland in 2023, and I mean, like I said, they have Avengers Land that just opened up, and I remember going to Avengers Land, and they had the Pym's Test Kitchen. Right.
Oh.
Back in the day, you'd just go up to the, whatever the booth like they have at Lagoon, and you'd be like, I guess I'll have a corn dog, and then you planned on, somewhere down the line getting off a ride and having diarrhea.
Yeah. Usually on Pirates of the Caribbean. When you're two floors below the surface of the earth.
Now you go, and the food is part of the attraction, We got a chicken sandwich that was so funny.
Well, and it's not only part of the attraction; it's like winning awards.
Yeah, it's
and
good food.
People are going. The food, like you said, the food is part of.
I will say, churro toffee was probably one of the best things I've ever tasted in my life.
Oh, there's a whole. I talked about this last week, but there's a whole Disney YouTube. Subculture that's focused on just to get food. And I watched a few of them. And I'm like, I kind of want to go now. But, but I don't think Megaplex.
Well, but they could. I don't know what their plans are. But if you can
like food alone is not enough. People would rather go to a restaurant they know they like,
right? But
eat there and then go see the movie. They don't want Gail reheating pizza for them or a corn dog.
No, I agree. And so again, here's what I'd say.
Some would I would say the 20 and under crowd.
I would say 50-50. If you knew you weren't going to have time to eat and you're headed to a film, and
that's fair.
But what I'm saying is,
maybe people would go to movies more often if they knew they could grab a slice of pizza or something like that, or a burger.
But that's the thing. Like, that's already available in a lot of megaplexes, like Jordan Commons, the Gateway. I'm saying, let's
Gateway. You're kind of in that environment. Anyway,
you are.
You
yes.
just have you eat at a restaurant you want, and then just go up the escalator to the movie.
No,
theater.
I would say, like, elevate it a little bit. Right. Here's the problem.
I get that.
And this is a problem that's across movie theaters across the country, and why I don't think it'll ever reach those levels. I don't think is to be able to offer premium food. You've got to have
a chef.
Well, maybe not even a chef, but you've got
a kitchen at least.
You just can't have a bunch of 15-year-olds
with one of those rotating warmer racks.
You can't have a bunch of
a kitchen.
Yeah, you can't have a bunch of like recent high school graduates that are, you know what I mean? 'Cause it's a transient job. You know what I mean? There's
so you're talking. So let's use, no offense to any restaurant we mention here, but like, are you saying like Denny's quality? Would that work?
No.
Do you think that would draw people in? So you think you have to go a little bit above the
there's going to
mega
be
chains?
Yeah, most people want.
Okay.
Yeah, if you're going to have an elevated dining, it has to be something where, like, I'll just again take the Jordan Commons for an example. Remember when Larry Miller, when they first opened, they had that Mexican restaurant where the people would jump off the cliffs. I don't even remember what it was called.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? And people would go eat
that?
there, and then they'd go see a movie.
Yeah.
I don't.
Now that I think would work along those lines. If you had,
that's a huge complex.
If you had a dedicated restaurant located inside the megaplex, so like if people want to go to Denny's or Five Guys or whatever it might be, it's in the megaplex. That I think would work. I think a megaplex kitchen doesn't work.
Here's what I think is smart, right? So
have you tried the megaplex salmon? Like, no, that's not going to ever be a thing.
So. This rollout isn't going to happen overnight, right? Obviously, the rebrand comes, but then they're updating their theaters with heated, powered luxury recliners, luxury box seats.
Could do without the heat. Those make me sleepy.
No, I wouldn't.
Don't turn the heat on.
Quiet rooms in select auditoriums, which I like. I've always advocated for a quiet room.
I know a lot of parents with children with some special needs that would love that.
And it might be something too that if you're going to be one of those idiot moviegoers that turns on your phone, that's for you.
Certain films I would pay more to sit in a kind of a private box scenario and not be annoyed.
They're also going to, put in, the bigger, large format laser projection with the Dolby Atmos. I mean, like mini IMAX to some degree. But so I think the test is going to be this. Is the first big one that, and by the way, this is not me shilling for Megaplex because you know me, I have complaints.
He doesn't get a kick. He still has to buy his tickets.
It's the theater that we have, though. I mean, there are other theaters in Utah. I get that, but in Cache Valley, this is what we have. But they're making one. It's Downtown Daybreak, and it's opening this year. And that's where they're going to have the luxury bowling.
That's
with
the first one.
Yeah, with the laneside diet, more food and beverage options, private events, party space. And really,
I think that can work. When you throw the bowling and the arcade and all of that in and for a family party or something, I think that can really work. All I'm saying is I don't think just a kitchen works.
Here's the thing,
I don't think
too.
people are headed to Megaplex to eat anytime soon.
People talk all the time about... we heard this, remember, last year as we headed into the summer. Remember, I think there was a couple movies that came out. Fall Guy, which was widely loved by audiences and critics, and nobody went.
Yeah, just
and everyone was like, theaters are dead. And then Inside Out came out and made $600 billion, and everyone was like, never mind.
I will one day. I would like to figure out what that is. I just thought of something on this.
I think people I go back to this. It's not the quality of the movies. I saw as many A movies. I went and looked, and again, this is just me, right? But when I get to the end of the year, I'm always like, man, what a good year for movies,
There have only been a few years where I thought, well, that was kind of mediocre.
Yeah, 2020, but that was, things got passed out.
You expect that.
But the big point I think really here is that it's two things. Is there's just more options than ever before.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about this.
And that spoils us to some extent.
It does.
I was reading about this, actually. So there's a psychological thing that happens that there's a challenge for Netflix and Amazon with their original content. And I'd never thought about this. So a movie premiere in a movie theater is a movie premiere. A premiere on Netflix isn't in most people's minds. So there's no event tied to, everybody knows Netflix puts new stuff on at midnight, 12:01 a.m. Friday morning. And everybody goes in to see what it is, and if they like what's there, they watch something later Friday night or something. If they don't, they don't. But it's expected. We're spoiled now to expect that from the streaming services, where if Dune is premiering at a movie theater, that's an event. You got to get your shoes on, you got to get in the car, and this psychological thing happens where Netflix is kind of shooting themselves in the foot by making it so easy to get content on such a regular basis.
No, I agree 100%. And here's the thing, like an example is the movie that came out this week streaming, The Electric State, which is not being reviewed great.
Really?
I think there's a couple things is like that used to be an event movie. And it's not now.
I kind of thought that would be. The Russo brothers.
It's a Netflix thing, right?
Yeah.
And I get it, right? Because it's all about eyeballs and data. Right. You want as many eyeballs on your stuff as possible. You know, I still have not figured out how Netflix makes money. And I think they're starting to wonder that too.
Well, I think they're going to struggle more and more to justify the price, though, but not because the price is not worth it. I think Netflix is very worth it. I think you're underpaying for the content you have with Netflix.
Yeah, I
think younger generations are not going to see it that way.
No,
because they're so used to having all this content at their fingertips.
That's true.
And so I think maybe they need to start thinking a little bit more about premiere events, the streaming services.
I think, honestly, somebody's got to figure out an easy way.
Like, why not
do live watch parties?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Why not have a live stream event?
It's just not the same. It's not.
Yeah, there's something about being in the crowd of a.
I mean, imagine
night.
if Avengers Endgame would have been just a streaming movie.
Imagine sitting on your couch by yourself, watching the Phantom Menace. When it
imagine
comes
the
out.
Force Awakens being streaming only.
I can't believe I went with Phantom Menace. I don't know why.
Well, but that's a great. I mean, that and Force Awakens were great picks.
Being in the theater was really fun. More fun than the movie.
Well, here's what. Let me say this too. I think there's a couple things working against the theater industry right now. I know a lot of people think the cost is prohibitive. If you go back and look from 1995 to 2025, there's been an increase. That's also been 30 years, right?
Yeah.
But if you look at it year over year, the slowest rise of price really was probably 2017 to like 2020. It did jump about $1.25 after COVID, but that's not.
Still a lot cheaper than the East Coast.
Well, but also, I mean, the average movie ticket in 2025 domestically is $11.31. That's across the country.
Yeah.
If you go back to 2020, it was $9.18.
And I think that there's an AMC Lowe's in like just off of Times Square, and I think it's $18.
So the price
for a ticket.
So the price went up $2 from 2008 to 2020. So that was 12 years.
Sorry,
it took 12 years to go up $2. So it has jumped up, dramatically. But again, when you look at the price of an NBA basketball ticket, you look at the price of like going to the theater is still one of the. Now I know people say, well, what about concessions? Well, I mean, no one's requiring you to buy concessions.
But I do think that's where maybe the Megaplex, for example, they should experiment with that a little bit, because I'm not sure what the impact would be, but imagine if the ticket price was what it was, and then popcorn was like $2.
Sure.
Like they haven't ever tried that to see if that's enough to get.
Well, and NBA teams are doing that now.
Too. I thought of this during the legislative session. So Senator Luz Escamilla had a bill, and the committee killed it for some reason. They wouldn't even debate it, and I thought that was so short-sighted of the majority caucus to not even debate this. But she had a bill that would have said, let's look into, do a feasibility study on leasing currently unoccupied state-owned space, buildings we know that we have to keep for some future purpose, but for the next 2 years, nobody's in that ground floor or something like that. There's a lot of space like this around the state, buildings the state owns, and we could lease it dirt cheap to someone that wanted to run a daycare, because Utah is we're in what's known as a child care desert.
Yeah.
There's enough child care for the number of children and people working that there are in the state. And so I thought it was a great idea. But then I got thinking about it, and I was watching this rebrand news and everything. I'm like, that, honestly, I know you have to have space. I know there are special licensing requirements. I know you'd have to have full-time paid childcare professionals to do it right, because you can't afford one incident,
right?
A bruise or a cut forehead or anything. But daycare, childcare at a megaplex or next to a megaplex, I think would double their ticket sales.
Yeah, I
really do.
And I know for me, people bring a lot of kids to the movies, and it's just
should they?
It's one of those things. I don't. Yeah,
a lot of movies are perfect.
Honestly,
for kids, but the midnight premiere of this happened. The midnight premiere of The Force Awakens. Your 2-year-old is not going to enjoy that.
Here's what I would say. This is kind of my wrap up on this, right?
Okay, yeah, we do have to go to the news.
Is
interesting topic.
The two biggest things right now are just massive amounts of content across all streaming platforms available at your fingertips, competing with the theater experience. Yeah. That's the number one thing. I think the number two thing that follows in right behind that is that and this happens all the time, and we've seen it in waves before, is when there's success, when a franchise or something has success, it's flooded. We flood the market, right? And so what will happen is what you're going to see now is that you're not going to see a ton of Marvel movies every year. You're not going to see one every 3 months like you did for a while. You're going to see maybe 1 to 2 a year. And it's the same thing. The next Star Wars movie that comes out isn't until 2026, 2027. Yeah. And that'll be 8 years since the last Star Wars movie came out. And so what you'll see, hypothetically, is that same type of thing we saw with like The Force Awakens, where it's been a decade and people go, oh my gosh, I can't wait, and then they rush.
And I think theaters rely on that a lot more than we realize, and then are able to absorb the off years more than we realize. And so I agree with you. I don't think any theater chain. Well, there might be some in trouble.
Hey,
I think Cinemark might be in trouble.
I was going to say one thing. If you do, one thing Megaplex is doing this Monday, March 17th, to celebrate this whole new era of Megaplex. If you go see a movie on Monday. Free small drink, free small popcorn. If you're somebody that has a mega tub, which I do, and a mega mug, those are $1 each. Which a mega tub is a lot of popcorn for $1. So
that's pretty cool.
Anyway, if that's something you want to take advantage of, that's happening on St. Patrick's Day Monday.
And I have not yet seen Mickey 17, so I might have to.
You need to. Free small drink and free popcorn.
It's worth it just for that. I was going to see it anyway, but don't tell Gail.
I will not. Well, Gail hasn't been to the theater in a while, apparently, according to the trailer that we saw, or the commercial. My favorite movie was Shrek.
What?
That was 2001,
You're
I think.
running the show here, huh?
Wait a minute. Well, yeah, and the president of the company was like, I loved seeing Big Hero 6. And I was like, wait, what?
Anybody remember Air Bud?
Have you seen any movies since 2013? I don't know.
Oh, man. You're listening to the For the People movie show. This week, Andy saw Black Bag. We'll talk about that. There's also the Day the World Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie. And I want to talk about this a little bit. Robert De Niro in a movie coming out soon. And playing two gangsters. I'm not kidding. Really, we're that desperate, I guess, for
bad grandpa
Italians with acting skills. We'll be back with more of the For the People movie show right after this look at the news with KVNU's Will Feel Right.
Well, thanks, Jason. Judge Kevin Christensen, who's been charged with crimes including 2 counts of enticing a minor using the internet, has submitted a resignation from the bench. Box Elder County officials made the announcement yesterday on Christensen, who had served in Justice Court since 1996. Now, a press release said that Box Elder County had received and accepted a letter of retirement resignation from Christensen that was dated March 10th. The Utah Administrative Office of the courts has been notified of the vacancy and will now begin to coordinate the process of finding a replacement. Now, the release also noted that the Utah Supreme Court has placed Christensen on administrative leave without pay and that the Utah Judicial Conduct Commission could be investigating. Now, Christensen and Tremonton Fire Chief Ned Brady Hansen have been under a criminal investigation by the FBI Hansen is charged with multiple counts of aggravated sexual exploitation of a minor. Now, according to court records, the charges against Hansen allege that he distributed an explicit video of a 10-year-old girl on at least 6 occasions and then shared an explicit photograph of 2 12-year-old girls on at least 2 other occasions. Now, Christensen is accused of sexually enticing minors via a chat app multiple times. An FBI agent said there is also evidence to suggest that Hansen and Christensen had met and had sexual relations. Now, after Hansen's first arrest weeks ago, Christensen reportedly allowed him to be released from jail. And a popular family vlogger who called Salt Lake City home has passed away following a crash that occurred in Mexico a week ago. Now, the family of 45-year-old Elise Smith Caffey had announced her passing on social media yesterday. Now, Caffey had ran the travel blog known as 3 Kids Travel and had shared on her site that traveling became their way of connecting and bonding as a family. Now, Caffey and her husband Dan were in Mexico for a wedding back on March 6th when they were involved in a 10-car pileup in Cancun. Now, her family said that a truck that was filled with hot asphalt hit Caffey's car, flipping it and trapping Elise underneath. Now, she suffered burns and was transferred to the University of Utah Burn Unit Center for further treatment, while the driver of the vehicle, a man who went by the name of Luis, died at the scene of the crash. Now, Caffey wasn't just known for her popular videos and social media, but also for her kind heart and giving nature. And a semi-truck rollover on I-80 claimed the life of the driver last night and is being blamed on high winds. At about 9:58 last night along I-80 in Tooele County, a blue semi-truck was pulling a box trailer eastbound when it rolled onto its side in the median. Now, the semi was the only vehicle involved. The male driver sustained fatal injuries, and the female passenger was transported by ground ambulance in serious condition. Now, officials noted that there were high winds in the area at the time, and the winds might have blown the vehicle over. Well, we enjoyed a beautiful day today. It wasn't that warm. In fact, we only got into the high 30s, but the sunshine sure was nice. Unfortunately, now it looks like the clouds are going to increase as we head into overnight, as we'll start to see a chance of some rain and snow returning for tomorrow. Temperatures expected to be in the low 40s for Saturday, high 40s coming for Sunday, so we'll see more showers to finish off the weekend, and then rain continuing into Monday, turning back into rain and snow for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of next week. And news and weather brought to you by Napa Auto Parts, where the gold filter sale continues through tomorrow. All Napa gold filters up to 60% off. It's the sale that everybody stocks up for. The Napa Gold Filter Sale from Preston to Providence at all locally owned Preston to Providence Napa Auto Parts stores. And I'm Will Feelwright with your KVNU News Update.
ABC News, I'm Dave Packard. This hour at the Kennedy Space Center.
3, 2, 1. Ignition and liftoff.
And with that, 4 astronauts are headed to the International Space Station aboard a SpaceX Dragon capsule to relieve Butch Wilmore and Sudi Williams, who've been in space for the last 9 months, despite their original mission that was supposed to last just 8 days. Led by Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, enough Senate Democrats voted to allow the GOP-authored spending bill to advance today and eventually pass this afternoon. It goes to President Trump's desk ahead of tonight's midnight shutdown deadline. The realization that a shutdown wasn't going to happen helped the stocks rally today to their best day in months. Dow up 674 points today. And President Trump spoke at the Justice Department today, saying, quote, "We're turning the page on corruption." Trump pledging to expose his enemies and called for the imprisonment of his opponents. This is ABC News.
Today's hearing aid technology can improve not only your life, but the lives of the people who care about you. Once again, you'll be able to hear the reason for their laughter and understand conversations. Dr. Paul Daines at Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology will customize a hearing improvement program to meet your unique requirements, whatever they are. Call Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology for an appointment and let them show you how.
Bring back what you've been missing. Bring back Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology.
Owning a business business may be stressful, but insuring it doesn't have to be. This is Matt Robbins with Quality First Insurance. Our experienced agents have been in the industry for many years and understand the challenges you face. As an independent agency, we have access to multiple carriers, like Auto Owners Insurance, to ensure you get the policy that's right for your company. Let's give your business insurance a fresh look. Call us today, 435-752-0101.
Well, I remember it all very well. Looking back, it was the summer I turned 18. We lived in a one-room run-down shack on the outskirts of New Orleans. We didn't have money for food or rent, to say the least. We were hard-pressed. Then Mama spent every last penny we had to buy me a dancing dress. Well, Mama watched him comb and curl my hair, and she painted my eyes.
Welcome back
and
to KBN News For the People movie show with Andy Morgan joining us here. And Andy, you saw this week a movie that no one has heard a thing about for some reason. There's no advertising on this. There's no, I haven't seen a single trailer or even banner pop-up ad online. What gives?
For Black Bag. Yeah, this is an interesting movie because
why is it being kept a secret?
I don't think it's. I think you just haven't seen. It's not like a flood of marketing.
Okay,
I've seen it. They've had a couple trailers. I mean, this movie is not going to make a ton of money, and it's being released early enough in the year, March, that I worry about something like this. Like
the timing, you mean?
Yeah, because I just don't know if this is something that's going to be remembered during award season, but there's some awards-worthy performances in this, especially, Fassbender's just great in everything he does.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is, and the other thing too is like Steven Soderbergh.
Wait, on him, did I tell you about the thing with Feathers from Sundance with him? Watch for that.
Yes. Yeah, you did tell me that.
He's really good.
He just, he's been a household name since 1989 when he had Sex, Lies, and Videotape. Remember that? Back in the Weinstein days.
Oh, I forgot about that with James Spader.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
okay.
And then he kind of he came back in with
back when the Weinsteins were saving independent film,
right.
not creepy guys.
Yeah,
or creepy guy, I guess.
Hey, could you massage my black head covered back?
I still can't believe that he got away with all that.
He showed up in '98 with another movie with George Clooney, Jennifer Lopez called Out of Sight. That it kind of reminded people that he was still there.
Yeah.
He had The Limey, which is actually great with Terrence Stamp. That was '99.
I really like that one.
The thing I love about Steven Soderbergh, he reminds me a little bit of Ridley Scott, where he's just all over the place. Then he comes in with Aaron Brockovich.
Really
You kind of put him into kind of like almost a diet Quentin Tarantino, where he loves the crime film kind of thing. But then you have him come in here with Aaron Brockovich. Then he jumps back to Traffic, right? The drug, with that had Benicio del Toro. Yeah. Michael Douglas.
I really like that one.
Yeah, Dennis Quaid. That's a great movie. And then he jumps into Ocean's 11, which is like more of almost a comedy,
Yeah.
And then he jumps in. He has Solaris, which is just literally just George Clooney acting by himself, for pretty much the whole movie. He comes in with Ocean's 12. He had another movie. Do you remember The Good German? With George Clooney.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That was another.
Yeah, he's all over the place. He definitely likes working with the same people. He did something very unique in 2009. He actually had Sasha Grey, who is a pornographic actress, and he put her in a mainstream movie called The Girlfriend Experience that was, again, critically acclaimed. He had Contagion, which was basically like, hey, what would happen if COVID happened? But that was in 2011.
Yeah, that was poor timing.
He's the guy behind Magic Mike, which is just funny. Again, not something you'd think.
No.
And then he's in there for like 2013, and then he takes kind of a 4-year break. He comes back in 2017 with Logan Lucky, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
In fact, everybody loves Daniel Craig in this movie Queer that came out this past year, and they also obviously love him in the Knives Out and think he's like, oh, he's such a great actor. Logan Lucky is way better than both of those. Yeah,
and the cast is great.
Yeah,
Adam Driver, but my favorite part, the prison riot over George R.R. Martin.
Yeah,
that is so funny.
That is funny because
Every
everybody knows how that feels.
Yeah. They're frustrated. So for listeners that aren't familiar, the prison is all collectively reading Game of Thrones, and they get to book 5, and someone finally tells them that he never wrote book 6.
He's all caught up.
It's been 10 years, and he hasn't written it. And then there's a prison riot over that, and it's hilarious.
No, then he also did in 2018. Again, I love how he does this, where he So in 2018, he did a movie with Claire Foy called Unsane, which is
I didn't see that.
It's a psychological thriller. It's great, and he filmed it all on an iPhone.
Oh, I remember reading about that. I didn't see it.
Yep. And then here's the thing: like most people would be like, "Well, what's he done?" Since Logan Lucky. Well, he's done. There's 2 that are on Netflix: High Flying Bird and The Laundromat.
And The Laundromat's pretty cool.
And then The Laundromat's the Panama Papers stuff.
Yeah.
And then he did another one for HBO Max in 2020 called Let Them All Talk.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's Meryl Streep.
I didn't see that one either.
Then there's No Sudden Move, which is, again, that's a crime thriller with Benicio del Toro and Don Cheadle, David Harbour, John Hamm.
It was pretty good. I mean, it was throwaway, but...
Yeah, and then another one that people forget about is, and speaking of David Koepp, these guys work together a lot, is 2022, there's a movie with Zoe Kravitz. It's called Kimmy, and it's on HBO Max, and it's a thriller, and that I would highly recommend. He did Magic Mike's Last Dance in 2023, which we try to forget about that one.
Yeah.
But the 2 movies... Presence actually, I think, technically came out in 2024, but it's really a 2025 movie. I don't know if that's streaming anywhere right now. That's a supernatural movie. That's one of my favorite movies of the year, Presence.
It's not streaming anywhere free, but even on Amazon. But it looks like you can buy it everywhere.
I would highly recommend that. And then now we have Black Bag. And to circle back to that,
I forgot you recommended Presence. I'm gonna have to catch that one.
It's spooky. It's one of my Yeah, it's good. But Black Bag is essentially, it's kind of billed as a spy movie, which it is. I mean, it's a group of very close-knit, co-worker spies. And they all have unique personalities. But what's really interesting about it is it's actually less about, as I got deeper into the movie, it's less about being a spy thriller and more about almost being like a marriage movie.
Really?
It really kind of flips the coin. It's not a comedy. If anything, if there's any humor in it, it's very, dark humor. But it's just really, really driven by the acting. And there's really, honestly, probably 6 people. If it wasn't so spread out in the spy universe, it could honestly be a play. Because it's very dialogue heavy. Mm-hmm. It's built on these characters that are very quirky personalities. Again,
why can't I remember this? I saw this, and it seems like it should stand out to me, but I don't.
Yeah, this is the one that comes out today.
Oh, and, no, sorry. I was looking at Kimmy. Sorry.
Oh, no, you're good.
I got lost. I got down a rabbit hole, as you've mentioned, his movies.
But this movie has Cate Blanchett, who's great pretty much in everything. She was the only saving grace in Borderlands.
Yeah.
Michael Fassbender, who, if you've never seen Michael Fassbender in his performance as Steve Jobs, you're missing out on probably one of the greatest movies of the last 10 years. I mean, it's just so good. He's a great, great actor.
Almost creepy good.
Yeah, he really is. And then you've also got Reggie Jean Page, which I think I'm saying that right, but he's people know him from Bridgerton. He was also in Dungeons and Dragons a couple of years ago. He played a funny character in that. It has Pierce Brosnan who shows up. And then, it's really, It's just kind of I don't know. It starts off a little slow. Honestly, the cadence of this reminds me so much of a roller coaster. You just kind of the whole, probably first 15 to 20 minutes is just kind of that tick, 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 tick as you're climbing the hill. And then it just goes.
Well, I kind of like that though in a spy action film.
And then it just goes. But it's very, again, dialogue driven, smart movie. I couldn't. Here's the thing. Would I go see it again in the theaters? Probably not. And that's, again, not because, right? It's not because it's a bad movie. It's just
it's not a see
It's
again.
kind of a one and done. I would say this is one of those movies where the whole cast almost drowns out any individual performance.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like if
kind of like Ocean's 11 then.
Yeah. Like I can't, if I was going to give any acting nods to anyone, it would probably go to Fassbender for sure. I mean, he's kind of the standout. Blanchett is a standout as well, but the cast just as a uniform group is so good together that, I would probably give it more thought to like an ensemble award versus anything else. But I can't not but give it an A. It's just, top to bottom.
It's the
just
plot,
a really great movie.
The simple plot of it, basically an intelligence officer's wife is accused of treason, of being a spy, and that's where it starts, right?
Yeah,
and then an investigation begins, and yeah.
Well,
so
the joke is like he is so committed to his job that he ratted out his own father at one point. And
really?
They say that at this dinner, and then somebody says, "How old were you?" And he goes, 37.
That is
it was just really funny. So it's like it was just the other day.
Kep does comedy well as a writer, the writer of this one, because he did. This is the only time you'll ever hear me recommend a movie with Tim Allen in it, because I think the guy should be by law banned from acting, television or otherwise. But he's just so bad. But Tim Allen's was in a book based on a famous, I can't remember who the satirist is. He was famous in the 80s, but it's called Big Trouble.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. You're talking about Dave Barry.
Dave Barry, yeah. It's based on a
Big Trouble is a great movie.
Yeah, it's based on one of the. Dave Barry only wrote a couple of novels. He usually wrote satirical columns, but he wrote a couple of novels, and Big Trouble is hilarious as a novel. And then Kep wrote the screenplay, and it's really funny. And it has one of the funniest scenes involving a goat in a car.
With Patrick Warburton.
Yeah, but
so
Kep is a good comedic timing writer, I think. And so now I'm kind of intrigued to see this. Oh, we got to take our last break.
I think.
So what was your final grade?
I gave it an A. Like I said, I can't not give it an A. It's just too good.
Okay.
Yeah, I enjoyed it immensely.
So that's 2 in a row from Andy, and both are still in theaters here in Logan. Mickey 17 last week, big thumbs up from Andy, and Black Bag, worth your time, both in theaters at both megaplexes here in Logan, and we'll be back right after this.
News Talk 610 AM, 102.1 FM, KVNU.
Get ready for the boldest way to Baja, Mexico. Morris Columbus Travel and Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines are excited to announce the Ovation of the Seas, the biggest ship in the West, sailing from L.A. starting in June. Enjoy skydiving, a water park, bumper cars, and flow rider surf lessons on your way to Ensenada and Cabo. Call Morris Columbus Travel to book today.
Owning a business may be stressful, but insuring it doesn't have to be. This is Matt Robbins with Quality First Insurance. Our experienced agents have been in the industry for many years and understand the challenges you face. As an independent agency, we have access to multiple carriers like Auto Owners Insurance to ensure you get the policy that's right for your company. Let's give your business insurance a fresh look. Call us today, 435-752-0101.
Your landscape should be a place to relax, entertain, and spend family time. Canyon Landscaping designs and installs livable landscapes that define space in new or existing yards. Hardscapes with retaining walls, paver and stone patios and walkways each create privacy, interest, and purpose, plus fire pits and sitting walls to add value to any yard. Go to canyonlandscaping.com for more details, then call to schedule your free consultation. Call 752-3838 or go to canyonlandscaping.com. Canyon Landscaping. Look for the leaf.
As the original tax experts, H&R Block puts 70 years of tax knowledge to work for you, guaranteeing 100% accuracy and your max refund or your money back. Can those other tax guys up the street say the same? Walk in or make an appointment today and get the expertise you need this tax season at H&R Block in Logan. Call 752-1651 or download the H&R Block app and see for yourself why it's better with Block. All tax situations are different. Not everyone gets a refund. Limitations apply. See hrblock.com/guarantees.
I'm sorry I'm here for someone else, but it's good to see your face. And I really hope you're doing well. I hope you're doing well. She was running late for dinner outside town. Left the phone a little bitter, but it's cool for now. Far from perfect for each other, but we're working it out.
Welcome back to KBN News For the People movie show with Andy Morgan here in the studio. Just a couple of minutes left. And Andy, I just have to quickly comment. You mentioned Novocaine coming next week, or is it here?
No, Novocaine's here next week.
I will not be able to see this. This trailer made me sick. I mean, I know it's a comedy, but the premise is he doesn't feel pain. So
there's some gross things with the fry basket, and
I don't want to see that.
The two movies that are coming out next week that we'll talk about, one of them at least, was Disney's Snow White. There's a lot of controversy around that.
Again.
I mean, people are just, I'm sure it's a fine movie, but people were like, oh, Gal Gadot. I don't know what their problem is with her. And then obviously Rachel Ziegler with
she got outspoken after the attacks on Israel. And
people don't like it when they cast, non-white people, apparently.
Yeah.
Snow White is white. It's in her name.
Actually, a tweet I saw the other day. Her name is White. And I'm like,
Calm down, Karen. It'll be okay. It's just a show.
Yeah, this is based on a fairy tale. You realize that?
PSA, I don't know if anyone knows this, but I'm going to share it. Guess what? You don't have to go see it if you don't want to.
Well, that's the other thing. Most of the people griping on Twitter, I doubt they're huge Disney movie fans.
No. Hey, you should check out Annie at the Movies a little bit later, too, tonight. We got some trailers going up.
Okay.
First look at the new Freaky Friday movie sequel with Jamie Lee Curtis.
You think it'll...
I think it's a good time.
You think it'll be good
timing,
okay.
Yeah. Good timing.
It's been a while. It's probably one of the longer gaps between sequels.
Yeah. Live action Lilo and Stitch, too.
Don't know that.
I'm excited about that one.
Don't know that needs to happen.
That's heartwarming.
I don't.
How dare you?
I just remind myself I said the same thing about Pete's Dragon, and then it was really good. So
that's right.
I'll be quiet.
Open mind.
Open minds. Open minds. That's the